Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Obviously, right now, everyone is jumping into Warzone. We've got our new 40+ weapons from Vanguard. We've got all the current Cold War and Modern Warfare weapons that have been tuned a little bit already thus far. And everyone is wondering, what is the meta? What are the best guns to use in any given situation? And while we've already covered some of the basic better weapons in the game, there are specific niches for certain metas. There's a long-range meta, there's a close-range meta, there's sniping metas, rifle metas, so on and so forth. Today, specifically, I wanted to focus on the close range meta. What weapons are going to dominate in those close range engagements? So as we go through it all, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you're a part of the 57% of viewers who have not already subscribed, this is the best place to be for everything going on in COD. Between news, updates, class setups, tips, it is all right here. So feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. Also, all the way until the end of the month, Code Immortal is actually going to get you 20% off everything on the Gamer Advantage site. Usually my code only gets you 10% off, but they're doing a whole holiday celebration and holiday sale, and they just brought back the Horizon frames. These are by far my favorite. They are super limited in stock though, so if you want to get a pair for yourself, now is the best time to do so, and Code Immortal has you covered there. All right, so first up, I want to start things off by talking about two pistols actually that are incredibly good up close, and it's also incredibly convenient that these are so good in the close range meta, because if you want to, when you get that first loadout, you don't always necessarily have to go for overkill. You could definitely go for restock or for ghost or for tempered if you wanted to, and you have a great secondary backing you up in those close range fights. The first weapon here is going to be the top break. As much as it is kind of weird to say, maybe a little bit annoying to say for some people, the snake shot meta is kind of back. I don't think this is nearly as good as the OG snake shot meta, but it's very close. These things are very, very dominant. So when it comes to the overall setup here, as far as the muzzle goes, honestly, most of these really aren't great for like that akimbo hip fire up close engagement build, right? Like you're getting muzzle flash concealment, you're getting accuracy, which is not super important in this case because we're not aiming down sights. Bloom is not going to be that bad on a hip fire build because you're already hip firing. Sound suppression is nice. The recoil control though is completely obsolete there. Accuracy again obsolete, strife, recoil obsolete. So that leads me to believe that the silencer, the M1929 silencer, is really the only worthwhile option here. Worse ADS speed, which is irrelevant on this build, and you'll see why. So that's an okay muzzle to be using there. For the barrel, I'm going for the W4 stub. Better damage range, better bullet velocity, which is pretty ideal. Yeah, you do lose some hip fire accuracy, but we're going to gain that back and use it, to its fullest extent by the time the build is fully complete. No optic here because we're not aiming down sights. The hair trigger here gives us some better hip fire accuracy, also better sprint to fire and a better fire rate. All around, really good attachment there. For the magazine, 30 Russian short, better damage, better bullet velocity, better range. Definitely a crucial part of this setup that makes the magnums, the top break here, just so dominant. Pair that with the M15 shot shell. Increased damage radius. This and the magazine there is what's going to make you have that sort of snake shot feel, right? This is pretty much mandatory on the setup if that's what you're going for. And man, does it pay off, because up close, it's going to decimate everyone. For the rear grip here, we're going for the pine tar, primarily for that better hip fire accuracy. Obviously, the aim down sight speed con is irrelevant. For perk one, obviously, we're going for akimbo. We want to have the dual snake shots so we can just, get the best 1 to 2 shot kill potential there. And then for perk two, I go for fully loaded just because you are going to run out of ammo pretty quickly if you're using these things consistently. Quick is definitely a solid option because that better sprint speed, but for me, fully loaded just seems like the way to go. Now, the other pistol I want to talk about is the machine pistol. This one, in my opinion, is not as strong as the top break, but it is a lot more forgiving. So if you don't find yourself to be a super accurate hip fire player, you'll probably want to go with the machine pistol over the top break. If you're very good though, the top break I feel like has more of that higher risk, high reward, if you will. But the machine pistol here is built very similarly. M1929 silencer yet again for the same reasons as before. Here though, the barrels kind of suck all around if you're using a single machine pistol, but the 140mm barrel here gives you better hip fire accuracy, better recoil recovery, better hip fire recoil recovery. Like, this is perfect for a hip fire build, so we got to be rocking that. No optic yet again. Hair trigger for all the same reasons as before. In this case, I go for the 40 round mag. They do hurt your damage and your bullet velocity and whatnot, but you get 80 rounds total between the two pistols. It is a spray and pray machine. I'd much rather have that over 40 rounds total between the two. So simply looking at the extend mag option there when it comes down to it. In this case, I use hollow point. Better limb damage, just going to allow me to have a better shot to kill in more parts of the body, right? So you're losing damage range, but these are akimbo pistols. You got to be within like 8-9 meters for it to be viable whatsoever, so that's not really too important to me, but that increased limb damage is definitely helpful. We go for the pine tar grip yet again, akimbo yet again, and also fully loaded once more as well. Now we can't go without talking about a combat shotgun build if we're talking the close range meta. Yeah, it's annoying to run into shotguns, and if you're someone who dies to it, you hate it. But if you're using it and you're just casually beasting and feasting on everybody, it's pretty fun to run around with. I won't lie. Yeah, it's toxic, but it does get the job done. And the combat shotgun right now as it stands, without any weapon tuning having been done to it, can potentially one-shot knock a player through full armor if you're within a certain range and if you're landing those crucial shots, right? So it has the potential. It's not always going to, but it's got the option to, which is pretty insane when it comes down to it. So first up here, we're going for the smooth bore muzzle for that wider pellet spread, making us a little bit more accurate up close. The sawed-off barrel here I feel like is pretty important. Wider pellet spread, again, better movement speed, but also better damage. So that's pretty crucial there if I do say so myself. I go for the adjustable stock, better hipfire accuracy primarily is what I'm looking for out of that. The Carver foregrip, while it is the best foregrip for all like main rifles and everything, also does help out here because you are getting better hipfire accuracy out of that, so that's pretty ideal. For the mag here, I'm going for the 12 gauge 5-round tubes, better damage range. It's going to make it at potential one-shot kill, I should say, at an even further range. For the ammunition, here's where I'm a little bit torn. It's between packed powder and buck and slug. I've gone back and forth using both of these, and I don't notice a huge difference, minus the fact that you can shoot a little bit faster with buck and slug, but I feel like the one-hit kill potential is about the same with both of these, so I feel like you can't go wrong with either. Pine tar grip yet again for that better hipfire accuracy. I use Vital, in this case, increased torso damage, giving you that better one-shot kill potential to more parts of the body. And then perk 2, fully loaded once more. You could go for quick if you really wanted to, though. Now, another weapon that is surprisingly good up close is the Cooper Carbine. This rifle is especially fun to use because it honestly is very good for medium and long range fights if you build it out to be that ranged rifle, but you can also build this to be a very close range based rifle, and it really just turns into an SMG at that point because this thing is insanely good up close and fantastic for those 0 to 15, 20 meter fights. It can really get the job done. So here obviously we're building this to be as aggressive and as close range based as possible. I do go for the MX silencer still, primarily just to keep me off the radar. I get some better accuracy out of that as well, which is pretty nice. Obviously we do have some bloom involved with the weapon still. For the barrel, specifically for close range, I'm going for the Gracie Rapid. Better fire rate, which makes this thing just shoot at an insane RPM. Also better hip fire accuracy if you are finding yourself hip firing a little bit. The other ones just are not ideal for close range. Yeah, the Cooper Custom is great. This is what I'd use on like a ranged build. Same deal with the Ragdoll. Ragdoll is short, not really worth it. It hurts the fire rate. I want to be able to just spray and pray with this thing, so I go for that. Slate Reflector, just a basic red dot, perfect for close range. For the stock, it's either between the skeletal or the removed. I feel like my aim was a little bit better with skeletal as I was spraying and praying. You get that, worse initial firing recoil, but that sort of sorts itself out, so that's not too bad. Remove stock, some of the cons just seem like they were a little bit too much. The accuracy primarily there. Carver foregrip yet again. In this case for the mag, I still do go for the damage increasing rounds rather than the 9mm 60 rounds, which increase your fire rate even more. If you're going for like a max fire rate build, you'd probably want to use these, but I just felt like it was more consistent when I was using the 45 round damage increasing, so I stick with that. I use hollow point in this case because it's giving me increased limb damage, and again, we're using this from 0 to 15 to 20 meters, primarily no ranged fights with this thing, so the damage range and the bullet velocity cons there are really not all that, drastic, I guess we could say. Like, it's not going to kill the gun's viability in close range fights whatsoever. I'm going for the polymer grip. That, accuracy and recoil increase during sustained fire is hugely beneficial. Vital once more, just to get that increased torso damage, hopefully get that TTK a little bit lower. And then finally, I go for fully loaded as always. Now, another weapon we can't go without mentioning is the MP40. In my opinion, currently as I'm recording this video, this is the best SMG in the game, and obviously SMGs are meant for those close range fights. So in turn, this is also one of the best and most consistent close range weapons in the game. Very easy to use, no recoil it seems like, great mobility all around, the perfect well-rounded SMG that absolutely fries. So first up here, we're going for the M1929 silencer. Once again, sound suppression keeps us off the radar, better bloom as well. I go for the first barrel, even though it's not ideal for the most agile setup. Better accuracy, better control yet again, pretty standard there. For the optic, I like the base iron sight, so I go for the very last optic here, the IS-01M optic, which gives me a better ADS speed and slightly changes the look of the actual iron sight to be a little bit cleaner in my own opinion. For the stock, I'm going for the folding one, better sprint to fire, better movement, very basic on an SMG. Carver foregrip yet again for the best recoil control possible. I go for the 8mm Kurz 40 round mags, which actually are damage increasing, making the TTK even better here. Again, I'm going for hollow point, better limb damage, and this just so happens to pair perfectly with Vital, which gives me better torso damage. Now, you might be wondering, there's no Vital perk on the MP40. Well, if you use the Space Issue Blueprint from the Battle Pass, there is Vital on the MP40. So for the time being, I use that. If I was not using the Vital blueprint, I'd be using Steady and probably Lengthened instead. I don't know. Hollow Point could get used pretty efficiently for close range fights, but pairing it with Vital makes it especially nice. Polymer Grip yet again, and then for perk 2 here, I use Quick because it is a sub, and I want to be using that max mobility build, basically. And then finally, we got the Type 100. They actually buffed this with the last weapon tuning update, which was pretty surprising in my opinion, but they made a very powerful SMG even more powerful. This is a little bit slower, a little bit harder to use than, say, the MP40, but its damage sort of speaks for itself. I mean, this thing does absolutely fry when it comes down to it. Again, we're going for the M1929 silencer. In this case, for the barrel, I don't think any of these are particularly all that great, so you're left using the rapid barrel as the best of the worst, I guess we could say. Like, this definitely isn't the most optimal because you are losing damage, you are losing accuracy, but these other ones are just not it when it comes down to it. You could potentially try out the 374mm, but I just don't feel like that's going to make this that agile and good for like close range fights. So rapid is my my go-to there. Slate reflector yet again, the skeletal stock for that better sprint to fire and better movement. Carver yet again, the 8mm Kurs, same deal as over on the MP40. Also, I just like having the better extended mag here. While the 30 Russian short is powerful, only having a 36 round mag just is not super optimal, especially in trios and quads and whatnot. So 48 seems to work pretty solid. Lengthened for the ammunition here, but you could go for hollow point again if you really wanted to, because again, we are also using Vital as our perk 1. So that's going to help out and give you a really solid TTK to pretty much any part of the body. Again, we're using polymer and then quick in perk 2 or fully loaded, whatever your heart desires. But that being said, that is the close range meta as it stands right now in Warzone. These are the weapons that I find to be the most dominant and the most efficient in those 0 to 20 meter fights in most cases. So hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, or if you just simply enjoyed it, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, feel free to do so. That way you can always guarantee you are up to date with everything going on in COD, between news, updates, class setups, tips. It is all right here. So feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. That way you'll always know whenever I post a new video. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.